Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Research Symposium. And we will be focusing on how to do your research proposal, how to make your research proposal, and we will be especially focusing on marketing. We have Dr. Shen with us, and she's from Juniata College. In this session, uh, we'll start the session with a brief overview of Dr. Shen, and then we'll move on to the Q&A session. So giving you a brief overview of Dr. Shen. Dr. Shen teaches marketing and management in both undergraduate and graduate programs at Juniata College. Dr. Shen received the Ph.D. in International Business and Masters of Science in Marketing from Southern New Hemisphere University, along with a certificate of Business Analysis from Data to Insight from the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, and a certificate of Essentials in Fashion from the Parsons School of Design. She's a member of the Academy of International Business, and she has been teaching international seminar of the graduate program at Kedge Business School for 3 years, has taught international business in Quinnipiac University as a visiting professor, has taught international business in Pennsylvania State University for almost 3 years, and with a consultancy experience in a Chinese top-notch fintech company, 3 Golden Inc., Dr. Shen supervised 9 undergraduate students from 9 nationalities, respectively, in 2018 in Beijing, China. Dr. Shen has presented in numerous conferences, such as the annual conference held by the Academy of International Business. So before we begin the session, I have a few reminders for all of you. That is, this session is going to be a kind of interactive session, and it will be recorded and it will be uploaded on YouTube as a part of the Research Symposium playlist. There'll be a live Q&A session towards the end of the Research Symposium, and Dr. Lee will share her responses, will clear all your doubts and queries. So you can post your questions on the chat box, or you can ask her directly. You can feel free to put on your videos and you can unmute yourselves. So welcome Dr. Shen to the Next Genius webinar series on Research Symposium. It's over to you now. So we'll start.
Thank you, Helen, for this warm welcome and long introduction about myself. I didn't know I did so much, and actually I want to do more. So as Helen introduced me about my teaching background and also my education background, and also some of the supervision and for student internship. I also am the faculty advisor of Fashion Club on campus at Juniata College, and I co-led this business trip to China with other management professors and economic professors. And so first question I got in the question list here, what got me into research, why I'm interested in research. So interest is always the best professor or best teacher, right? So I'm very interest driven. So you can tell from my research topic later on. So I'm really into fashion, and I'm into analysis, like behavior analysis for customer behavior, and also like social media and technology. I wanted to combine those ideas into my research, and I'm very curious about the trend of those like fashion industry, like big data, AI, right, and all that, and social media, consumer behavior. So I wanted to do research on that. And also another very interesting, like I call it good karma. Why is that? Because my quantitative analysis professor, he's originally from India, and his name is Dr. Tash Dakar. And I really enjoy his 2 classes back in PhD program. He taught, the session number 1 and 2 for quantitative analysis. And he has all kind of nice cases to represent different kind of methodologies, and how to analyze your search result, how you collect the data, how you find out, who are your target audience and all that. And best is that he's always encouraging students to think out of the box, be critical thinkers. So I actually learned from the best, and that's why I wanted to pass along to my students and my future student like you guys. So that's probably the reason, one, because I had a good professor to get me into the door. And so I'm interested in research and analysis. And the second thing is that my interests really drive me, further upon to getting to all the area I'm interested. And my research topics, I have like kind of categories. Okay, so I put them in different categories here. So one category focused on the social media usage. Like adopting social media for your informations or for advertisement, for any kind of news or information for the product, and whether the customer will actually trust and believe and start to click those links to purchase the product matters to the industry, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of industry. It can be fashion industry, it can be automobile industry, it can be IT industry. So I always wanted to do cross-cultural analysis because my background is international business and marketing. So I wanted to compare at least two different countries, given their different cultural backgrounds. I want to do the cross-cultural analysis for like people who uses social media to view or to browse advertisements on those platforms. So different countries, they might have their preference, social media platform, and how the advertisements can be really displayed and showcased in those websites or those platforms really matters to the company who actually invested, advertisement budget on that. So you want to see how effective, utilizing a good or fit social media platform for their business. So I had some of those, paper and the researchers, presented in the Academy of International Business. And then I started to get into more detailed, because you want to be very specific about your topic in research. You don't want to go too broad, because when I got in like 10-20 minutes ago in the seminar, you guys were practicing on this topic, like some of you mentioned the topic is too broad, right? So that's a good point. So we want to really have a specific, narrow down topic, and you want to get deeper. When you have the depths, people will consider this research has value on it. Okay, otherwise it's broad, like very vague and scratching the surface. People say, yeah, everybody's talking about that. Can you go a little bit in depth? And yeah, you should be able to provide those in depth for either other researchers, right? Because they might use your paper as like reference, and maybe for other institute, or maybe for other organization or business and all that, or even student for research purpose. And then I'm interested into the consumer behavior, like how customers think, why they behave this way, right? So it's like you need to have this like kind of a crystal ball to read your customer mind. Hopefully you can do that. So that's like a really seek after a question here. So you want to figure out whether the customer has a positive attitude towards your product, and whether they're interested into your buying your product, and will they really buy it, even they're just interested, right? Because a lot of time, if you check on yourself, you saw something online, you really like it, maybe from your Instagram, advertisement, and it popped in and say, oh, you might need this, and then say, yes, I'm interested. So I might click the link. And what's the next step? Are you going to purchase? Are you going to close the page? Are you going to leave the page? Why this happened, right? So I want to figure out, what kind of element or factor really determines those attitude, those behaviors. So I have another paper presented. It's called Attitude of Chinese Customer Towards, it's actually the winning the heart and mind of young customers across cultural study for customer attitude towards luxury product. So that I actually started working with other two professors. So we collected data from the United States, China, Jordan, and France. So we have 4 countries we can use those data for like cross-cultural studies, which we find something really interesting. Like we know that, France is like the capital, of fashion, and American has the really strong buying power. And for China, it's an emerging country. They started to really have this trendy behavior to purchase a lot of high fashion product. And Jordan, you probably never really recognize it become like really into buying fashion product. Actually, they're becoming really strong buying powers. So we figure out, okay, maybe the age, maybe the income level, maybe the education level will be some key factor to drive their purchase. So different countries, they definitely has higher or lower number in indicating, right? Index number indicating whether they are interested in buying fashion or luxury products there. So that's that. And I have one paper published at the Journal of Comparative International Management last year during the pandemic. Well, I was very productive during the pandemic. I was writing a lot of stuff, I guess, because you lock down and you have nothing to do other than teaching. So the topic is the use of social media platform for purchase fashion item. So this is another cross-cultural analysis about US and Chinese customers, because my background, I originally from China. So this time I combined, really interesting theoretic framework. I'm gonna tell you the structure, the basic structure of research, and in a second. So I will line out all the different component parts. So in this paper, I actually discovered trust, easy of use, playfulness are very crucial for customer, no matter where they are, like from China, from the United States, they all really value those factors compared to other factors. For instance, like usefulness, okay, and like the massive, followers or the capabilities. So people are more interested in like whether I'm safe or my transactions safe through social media if I purchase fashion item, because nowadays on Facebook or Instagram, you see all kind of ads pops up, and there's a little button there that says shop now. That's careful for that, right? Because you want to make sure that because every time you click it, it has the click-through rate generated, and now you got the attention from the companies, and they will say whether this click-through rate will become a conversion rate, meaning once you see this ads and they click through, and you will direct you to the official website for the shopping item, and are you going to buy it at the end of the day? If you purchase, it's just going to increase in their conversion rate. That means this ad worked, right? So, and how, what's the process, what's the behind scene from like people seeing this advertisement and being aware of it and being interested in, and then, had that drive to or motivation to purchase at the end of the day, right? So that's kind of a hidden, right? But you can tell from, whoever bought it, like if they can take the survey and they can answer age, marital status, income level, education level, and all that, and where do they live, right? Metropolitan city or rural area or suburban area. So those things can give away and tell all the researchers about why people are actually doing this, and whether using the social media platform is a good, tool to increase the conversion rate, or maybe one social media platform versus another one, it's better, or things like that, or different country, right? Different regions, or we can compare different gender, different age group, things like that. So there's some, so much more to explore. It's like the ocean of research topics. You just need to want to find one that really, interested. And because research can be long-term, right? You need to be able to be patient and, be steady and be firm about what you're going to working on. And another couple of things I want to say, I have other categories like, fashion, marketing, cultural analysis, sustainability in fashion industry. Those are the first tiers of my fashion top, and, my research topics. And the second tier is more like pedagogy and the teaching technique related. So I'm working on this qualitative paper talking about how to leverage technology to transition to hybrid model for learning, because we have challenge and opportunity teaching during the pandemic, right? And then there's another group paper we're working on, focusing on understanding effectiveness of teamwork within our courses and the use of self-evaluation versus peer evaluation to measure product productivity. Because after each semester, we are going to have students fill out the form or fill out the survey, tell us, how effective or how productive the teamwork were. Okay, so we want to figure out whether they wanted to use the self-evaluation or the peer evaluation. So now I'm going to get into the structure of the research paper. But before that, any question about the topic I researched? Question time? Oh, we have, oh my, Avni Vat, finally, I think I saw you, waiting in the waiting room for at least 8 times. And every time I try to admit to you, finally you're here. Welcome. Okay, and we have group one. Is that another one come in? Okay, so do you guys have any question? If not, I can just move on to the structure of research paper. Okay. All right, so let me move on. So some of you probably already know there's some, specific or standardized structure of a research paper, what kind of a component you have to put them together, right? Just like a Lego game or a Lego toy, you piece them together, right? And then they get very steady and they support each other seamlessly. So starting with abstract, but usually we write abstract the last. It's like you're writing, Harvard Business Review paper. You always write the executive summary at the end of it because you have to see the whole picture of what your paper is talking about, right? And so usually we start with introduction or background information, like what this research background backdrop is, right? And maybe a little bit historic of this topic, and then you move to your research question. What kind of question, what kind of problem you want to solve, right? What kind of value you can provide to the literature, world or research world or the industry field and all that. And then you can set this a research objective or objectives, right? You can be multiple objectives. And then you start to think about what kind of theoretic framework or the model you're gonna use, especially when you're talking about this doesn't matter if it's qualitative or quantitative analysis. Okay, so qualitative analysis, it's more based on observation and some of the very subtle or can be quantified measurement. For instance, like people's attitudes, intention. It's really hard to put a number on that, although you can later on just use like a Likert scale, like a different ranking to measure them or try to quantify them. But then we have the quantitative analysis. Then we're going to use a lot of quantitative analysis methodologies, and then followed by literature review, which is a very important supporting component for this paper. Like all the previous research, if it's possible, try your best to find most prominent past literature review, past research result, past research components you find, and then you find something really helpful and supporting your idea and helpful for your research objective to put into your literature review paragraph. Okay, and then next you're gonna suggest something, like you're gonna do some hypothesizing here. So you're gonna say, hey, what's the, will the relationship between the US customer, using AI video search technology, positively related to shopping, fashion items, right? Will people consider it's easy, or people consider is, usefulness, if people consider it's a fun experience to use the technology? So you can think about, whether you can say, we have positive relationship in between these two. That's your hypothesis. Or you can say, no, they don't have any positive relationship. They have like a, negative relationship. So those things can be considered as your hypothesis. You can have multiple hypotheses, or you can have one. Okay. And then you come up with the methodology. So how are you going to do that? Most of the time, for the qualitative research, I do like a cross-cultural one. For instance, if I use cross-cultural analysis, right? And I always use Hofstede's cultural dimension theory as my theoretic framework, but that's just qualitative, right? And then you have some, technology acceptance model. That's when you think about utilizing or adopting new technology. For instance, like the AI video research, video search technology, or social media. Okay, those are some technology you want to accept. So we have a model called technology acceptance model, TAM. So those can consider as my qualitative and quantitative analysis theoretic framework. So you can use those, and then how you're gonna really, calculate, and you have to come up with your, a model here, and how you're gonna analyze this. So most of the time I use the structural equation model, SEM, and also along with the confirmatory factory analysis. I know it's become a little bit techy here, and starting with survey, right? You have sampling, survey sampling, and you have snowball, survey. So snowball sample, it's more like, okay, for instance, I hand out a survey questionnaire to Helen, and she filled it out. She said, "Oh, I have some, friend might be interested in this topic, so they can help you out." So she passed along to those friends, and Helen's friends say they did this survey, and then they say, "Hey, we have some more friends," So it's become like a snowballing. It's getting bigger and bigger, of the sampling size, because the connections, the circles, and networks. So that's one of the qualitative, analysis tool. And then quantitative ones, you can actually combine a couple of different kind of methodologies here, like regression, right? So a lot of people knows, what regression is, and it's sort of like using the previous data to predict the future, trends. And so you can use the, multiple regression, analysis, and you can actually combine the structural equation model with the AMOS. So AMOS is more like, that's what I call like a crystal ball, or the mind reader for the customer behavior, because that can help you to sort of connecting the attitude to intention and to the final purchase actions. And then from the attitude and the intention, you can actually find out what actually drives those positive attitude and the intention to buy. So it can be your age, it can be your income level, it can be your education level, it can be your marital status and things like that, or your social status and all that. Okay, so and going back to the structure of your paper, right? We just talked about the methodology and the data collection, and then after that, you got all the nice result lined up in front of you. What are you gonna do about it? So this is the meat, okay? This is like a backbone of and the value of your paper here, because the result analysis is something you can actually share, you can actually showcase, and you can display. That's something you present in the conference. You actually that's how publishers consider your papers valuable. And also you want to relate it to the conclusion, managerial recommendation. And also you can list some of the limitations. Maybe you don't have enough time to work on the data collection. Maybe you have limited resources, like say, I wanted to do 4 countries, but ended up with 2 countries instead. Okay, or you have smaller sample size than you expected, or you don't have a lot of valid survey results. That's possible. Or maybe your the model, the hypothesis you come up doesn't really have a good fit for your model. Okay, that's possible too. And maybe the p-value is not significant enough, so it's like, it doesn't make the case, or the hypothesis, maybe you need to adjust. Maybe you need to wait a little bit longer to collect more data. The more data you got, right, the sample size bigger, the better, or the fitter your model is. So you have to be careful about choosing your hypothesis, right? All the important elements here, and then you need to address some of the potential future research opportunities, like what you didn't address in this paper or this research might be addressed in the future paper. And don't forget about the reference and your appendix. If you have any charts or any exhibit or tables, anything you want to just use in your paper. So it can be all stored in the bottom of your paper. And
sorry to interrupt, Dr. Shen,
yes.
but then
I'm almost done. Just one sentence here. Just
no, it's not about that.
Yeah.
Aditya told me that your screen is not visible to them. I just wanted to check with others also if your screen is visible or not. Actually, I can see you.
Visible to myself. Yes, I can see myself.
Even I can see you, but
It is visible.
How about now? I'm gonna just leave and come back. Or not? No, I'm gonna stop the video and come back here. How about now?
you can see Aditya.
Am I back? Can you guys see me?
Actually, I was saying the presentation. Can you share? Like your camera is visible, but the things which you're saying, I think I just asked of sharing your screen.
Share my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Like the
Yeah,
presentation.
you were explaining so he wants you to share your screen, like so that he can take a note of whatever you were presenting till now.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I just have a very like a draft stuff for myself as a reference. I didn't really create anything, but I can definitely do that. Okay. Can I share my screen now? Yeah, this is my talking piece here. So just like some prompts for myself. Yeah, so I can start from here. I have some highlights here, some background here. I didn't talk about everything. Those are the questions and some of that. Yeah, yeah. I was talking about the last part. Yeah, I can show you here. So those are the highlighted about the publication. And currently, I'm working on 5 papers actually. That's a lot, I know, but it's in summer, so I'm not traveling because of COVID. So yeah, I say I better use the time wisely. And so 5 paper pipelines. See, that's another thing I want to suggest. When you're really into research, you don't want to do just one thing at a time. Sorry, sorry about the people who cannot do multitasking, but you need to start planning ahead. Like, okay, for now, I want to work on something. Maybe it's going to be published like next summer. Okay, so you don't wait till next summer to start, right? So you have to start this summer. And some publications, they react faster. So you probably can be half-year turnaround. So maybe halfway through, you can think about another paper, another topic. And sometimes you want to work alone, like a solo researcher. I did like 1 or 2, 2 times, but most of the time I'd rather to have somebody to team up with. So everybody come from different, maybe can be from like a same big discipline, like a business in general. That's always the case. But then some people can be like international finance, can be international management. And for myself, it's marketing, right? Or people can be from different countries. That's great. Or they have resources, so they can actually send out their survey to their own home country or host country. So usually I get to know either from my colleague from my school or the colleague from my previous institute I taught, like I've been in Quinnipiac University and Penn State and the Southern New Hampshire University, my alma mater. So I'm actually working on this paper, okay, with my former marketing professor. Yes, I used to take his class. Yeah, absolutely. From master program and PhD program. And I did independent study with him. And we actually published paper out of that independent study experience, which I really enjoyed. And he's from Purdue University, and his PhD was in marketing research and methodology. So that's perfect, right? You definitely want to work with somebody who knows how to do market research. And this one, it's a solo. Okay, I'm working on it. So this is more like a cross-cultural analysis. There's another new technology. So I wanted to use the technology, acceptance model to really featuring this AI video search technology in shopping fashion items. Okay, so I'm going to use all kind of quantitative analysis methodology here. And this is another group I'm working with. Like, this is a group we have 4 countries, sending the surveys to 4 countries. So I'm working with other 2 professors, one from Bangladesh, one from Jordan. But now they're one living in Canada, one in United States, but still we got the connection in France, Jordan, here, and China. And this is another paper I work with another Chinese professor. This is another paper I'm working with a professor at Quinnipiac University. He's the chair of international business. And yeah, he hired me as the visiting professor there when I was in my PhD program. Yes, so you wanted to work very hard and build a really good network with your co-workers and all that. So you never know, there might be opportunity opening up. They might be working on some topic you are interested, so you can join them. So this is something I was talking about, like one by one, right? So starting with that. And before Helen told me that my video wasn't visible, I was about to talk about this. So when we talk about the reference or citation in writing a business paper in United States, we adopt APA style, which means this APA stands for American Psychology Association. Okay, so you probably heard about MLA, but we don't use that for business writing and for research paper in the United States. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my page. I'm gonna take some questions here. Anybody interested? And we have a Gonraf. Yeah, that's somebody joined us. So any questions? How many time do we have left, Helen? Please.
We can pick up a few questions, like we can stay for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can clear some doubts and queries. So
Okay,
feel free to ask your questions to Dr. Shen, or you can put it on the chat box also.
Sure. Okay. Feel free to type, and I think I just left my email address here too. If you don't have any question, or you're too shy to ask question today, if you think, oh, later I have some question and I want to follow up, feel free to email me and at shen@juniata.edu. So I'm here and I'm happy to answer questions. And I always wanted to have this fashion club on campus, so students can actually work on their research, and I will be the advisor for their research paper. So I want to be very supportive to the student, just like my professor, Dr. Tash Darkar, did for me. So yeah, I really appreciate those professors. Question? Okay, so I have a direct message. Okay, so I'm just gonna read the question. I'm not gonna address who that come from. So do research papers boost college application in the US? Well, if you're a student, if you have something, either presented or published, either, by yourself or with someone else in the group, it's definitely a great booster, because it's definitely demonstrating that you have the capability to, perform this research. It doesn't matter qualitative research or quantitative research. So that's going to be a really good, resume builder, and it will caught people's eyes. I hope I answered your question. And then I am in United States. Yeah. I'm in America. I don't know. In my in my office, there's a lot of element of Paris, because I taught in Catch Business School, which is in France, for 3 years. So even if it's not because of pandemic, I should be there in December. So yeah, thank you for relating me to Paris, because I'm into fashion and all that. And that little plaque here is it's one of the colleagues gave me. So it's perfect for your office. So thank you. So somebody, so I hope I answer your question, Gaurav, right? Gaurav Sham. Okay.
Yeah, I had to ask the question. Yeah.
Oh, you have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in studying UI UX design when I go to university, and I realized that there are some similarities with marketing, right? Things like user research and things like that. So I was wondering, how would you go about collecting test subjects?
Can you repeat the last sentence, your question?
Sorry. Yes, my question was, how do you go about, finding research, subjects to, test out products or marketing strategies on?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So for instance, there was a paper talking about the social media, right? So I got very specific. So for United States customer, I actually use Facebook as the example. And for Chinese customer, I use WeChat, for example. So to be specific, you want to test out how effective those advertisements on Facebook versus on WeChat. So you need to find out how many people in what age group or whatever, education or income group, they actually had a higher, results related or reflecting on this effectiveness of Facebook advertisements. So more people actually click on the Facebook link and then they actually purchase, right? So that's a high conversion rate. So that tells the company, any fashion company, please jump onto Facebook, right? To get your advertisement exposed to the Facebook users. They will click. They have a high tendency to click your advertisement link, and they might have a high tendency to intend to buy, and then they will eventually purchase there. So it will be actually helping them to say, oh, it's like a high significant rate there, right? So they wanted to budget, or they're gonna have more ads created on Facebook or other social media. If they want to compare social, Facebook versus Instagram, they can do that too. So I can write another paper about, the comparative analysis about the Facebook advertisements and Instagram advertisement about the fashion, products, right? So I hope I answer your question.
Can I go ahead?
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep. Some
Ma'am,
other people?
basically, like right now, I'm working as a social media marketer for an international organization. Like me and
Nice.
my team created it. So, ma'am, can you please tell me that how can we reach out to our target audience?
Oh, the choice of target audience is very important. So you have to recognize who's your target audience. And in marketing, we always say, okay, you need to find out who your primary target audience, and then you have secondary, then you have tertiary, you have the mass, right? The other people. Well, it doesn't mean they're not important, but you might want to have a laser focus for your primary target audience and where they are. Where do they hang out? What kind of social media do they use? What kind of zip code they live around, like a resident. So here's the thing, you have to check who are the current customers are, right? Who are the customer bring the most, profit, right? The net profit value, right? You want to see that. And then you need to sort of using different kind of, categorized tool, like zip code, where they live. They might actually live like in a cluster format, right? They might scatter around. Maybe they're like all along the coastal area, or maybe they're in the industrial area. So, and then that's a geolocation. And then age group, right? I don't know what kind of, industry you're talking about, international business, but different industry, they will definitely have primary target audience in different age group. Most of the, for instance, if I use like a luxury product, for example, right? So most of the traditional luxury product, like LV or Prada or Gucci and all that, they'll, back in, maybe a couple of decades ago, they only focus on people who's wealthy, right? Affluent, right? Older, have some savings and all that. Now they're actually shifting gears. They try to target younger customers. They want to start nurturing them to get them in the door with relatively, less pricey, product, small product. For instance, if you cannot buy like a Prada bags, for $10,000, you can probably start and buy like $100 for like a keychain. It has a Prada logo on it, right? So you started thinking about the age group. That's another element where the younger people hanging out, the younger generation, because there will be the future, affluent people or affluent group, right? They might have more savings. They might go to schools. They actually will accumulating their wealth. And also, meanwhile, you already getting to the door, like they already know who you are, so you don't have to introduce you too much. So it has this like a first comer advantage for them. I hope that answer your question.
Yes, ma'am. And like it is a digital platform. So like
Oh,
we are
okay.
planning to provide mental health services, and any age group can fall into that category.
So if it's like a platform embedded with some technology and benefiting people's well-being, well, that can fall into the category of the technology acceptance model. So you're gonna think about people who consider using your platform is easy, right? Who's using it? Do we actually consider who are using it can be the opinion leader? You want to follow their steps. If you use some of the celebrity for a spokesperson, right? And do they actually generate a lot of traffic to your platform or not? And also another thing, like, is this platform useful? This is a very basic, right? Crucial question for your target audience, right? Survey will be a great way to start with, but then still you need to find who you want to send survey to, right? Maybe starting from the current, customers and users, and using the snowball, sampling survey, right? Just like the example I had with Helen. Send it to the current user, ask them to send it to their reference groups and their reference groups. So it might have some connections because they know each other, they know the condition of each other, like they have the need. Okay, when they have the need, you're talking to the right person, not talking to the wall. Okay, so I hope that helps.
Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, can you please repeat your email once again?
Oh, sure. It's can you see the chat?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna just put in the chat again so everybody can see it. I mean, probably people outside of the session can see that too. I'm just keep sending my email address here. Okay, cool. So, or I can, any other questions from the students?
I mean, like if we are having any marketing ideas, so can we just reach out to you through your email?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I wish I can have you in my class, eventually, so I can give you a systematic, idea and knowledge and, all my experience. But on the side, if you have any question, I'm happy to help. But yeah, I might have I have to really prioritize, answering questions for my student, but I'm happy to help you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Yeah, and other people a little quiet. I hope my information was helpful. Yeah, if you agree, you can just do an emoji or whatever. Just give me a gesture because I love to interact with audience. Oh, thank you. I love that. Thanks. Yeah. All right. So I'm lost track of time already.
I had an additional question, if you don't mind. Right. So throughout your tenure, can you describe some of the most efficient or most effective marketing campaigns that you have seen?
Okay. So one of the courses I teach is called Advertising and Promotion Management. So it's a fun class. It's a very hands-on class based on a lot of group projects. Because Huntington, where Juniata College locates, it's a very tiny town, college town in central Pennsylvania. So the local community is really close-knitted. And, it feels like everybody's neighbor, right? Everybody knows everybody. So there's a lot of small business, like a family-owned papa mama shop, in the community. So for this course specifically, I always group up with students and, reaching out to the local businesses, and we will find at least 3 or 4 businesses we want to help or partner with. For instance, we work with the local coffee shop, and the business owner is alum from Juniata College 10 years ago. So he actually opened up this coffee shop with the wife. So, and then they have kids and all that. So small startup, right? So they need a lot of advertisements. They need a lot of promotion campaigns. So the student helped them with website design and work with their social media post design, like the graphic design. And also they made 3 commercial videos for them. So one is for the wholesaling business, very specific. And another one's for the dine-in service. Like they do have the dine-in deli service, so you can eat, you know, meals there, and you can order coffee, and you can have everything inside of the shop. Another one is a loyal program service. So they actually introduced this nice, you know, loyal program card for their company. So every time people come in, you just scan your card, and we know the balance, and then you can add the points every time you shop there. So we made 3 you know, videos, commercial videos for them. So it's sort of boosted the business sales for them in different ways. Like the wholesaling part, they have more partners in town buying their roasted coffee beans, and then other things is like more people, you know, are showing up in the store to eat inside of the store or take it out, and the more people started using the card, the loyal card, to earn the points and all that. So that's really helpful and successful. I mean, they might not be the 500 Fortune companies, but any business is a business. It's a solid business, and they see a huge increase of the profit on the books. So I think that worked. Yeah. And we're working on with a lot of, you know, local business too, like local banks and local, you know, fashion boutiques and gift shop, movie theater, you name it, a lot. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Right. And you mentioned that students actually designed the website and did a lot of the graphic design. So art, I mean, would you say that art and marketing really intersects in that manner? Because, you know, I'm really interested
crucial.
in artistic, yeah, because I'm really interested in art and graphic design, but, you
Right.
know, I also like the commerce bit of it. So I don't know, I'm considering something in marketing.
Yeah, we have the option to individualize your POE, the program emphasized major in junior college. You can have half of half, like an intermediate, integrated media art design major plus marketing in the business side. So you can perfectly match them together. And then you're gonna design a lot and practice a lot and for the local business, and it's gonna become part of your portfolio, and you can use those for your resume and to find job in the future. I think we're running out of time here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The session will end in a few seconds. So thank you so much, Dr. Shen, for the insightful
Thank you,
session and
Helen.
answering a lot of doubts and queries from our students. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you guys, and good luck with